Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalayai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. We're continuing reading from Sri Manah Siksha by Raghunath Das Goswami. And we are reading again also the first verse, which is the most famous of all the verses. Gurau Gosti Gostalishu Sujanebusu Ragane Samantra Sri Namni Brajanavayu Vadvandva Sharane Sada Dabba Hitva Kururatim Apurvam Atitaram Aye Santar Vratas Chatubir Abhiya Chedri Tapadai. Raghunath Das Goswami addressing his mind, addressing our minds, that we should take shelter of the spiritual master, the Brijavasis, Brajdham, the saintly devotees, respect the Brahmanas, and chanting the holy names, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And chanting Swamantra, the Gayatri mantras given by the spiritual master. In this way, taking shelter also, Brajanavayu Vadvanta, of the divine couple. So with Rati, with loving affection, we should do this. Always giving up all pride. So in this way, Raghunath Das Goswami is addressing his mind. That's it, the first verse. The conditioned soul always has to be reminded of what to do and what not to do. Especially as sadhakas, it is mentioned we should chant with sambandha gyan. We should chant the holy names, do our bhajan, worship the deities, remembering that we are the eternal sons of Krishna, that we have nothing to do with this material world, that we are apart from the gross and subtle body. And so that we do on daily basis, or also on daily basis, we have to preach to the mind, telling him what to do and what not to do, trying to control the mind, the senses, making the mind our good friend. So just for remembering again the second verse, explaining that we should not be attached to simply performing one's duty according to dharma, according to varnashram dharma. And certainly we should by all means give up all adharma, irreligious activities, sinful activities. But we should render profuse loving service, prachur bhav, to the divine couple, paricharya. And always you should meditate with Satchidananda Gaura Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is no different from Sri Radha Krishna, who is Krishna but with the complexion and mood of Srimati Radharani. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahayanya. Radha Bhava Dyute Sovitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. And then always we should remember the spiritual master, Mukunda Preshta, who is most dear to Mukunda, the deliverer of the conditioned souls, the one who is giving mukti, bhakti, whose face, mu, is just like a kunda flower, very beautiful and fragrant. And after explaining that if you really want to gain entrance into Braj and perform, well, first of all, Raganuga Bhakti, in order to come to the platform of Ragatmik Bhakti, and that is in the liberated state. So then, birth after birth, one should always bow down with great love to Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami, and all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Important to take shelter of Mahaprabhu and his devotees. Especially, so we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnavas, following Rupa Goswami as Sadhaka, who is under the shelter of Swarup Damodar. And then we may be able, as mentioned here, birth after birth, so performing sadhan bhajan, then we may be able to gain entrance into Braj, and there we have to take shelter of the gopis, the associates of Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, Rupa Rati Manjari. And these are beautiful verses which can be chanted every day, but we are doing one verse, explain a little bit one verse each week. And the fourth verse, so we should give up mundane talk. As we know, Prajalpa, as Mahaprabhu also told Raghunath Das Goswami. Gramya Vatana Sunibe, Gramya Vatana Kaibe. So Gramya Katha should not be heard nor should be told. But we should discuss Krishna Katha, Gaur Katha. And of course, also the fourth verse in personal liberation was mentioned. Usually the devotees are not at all inclined towards that, of course. And also it is mentioned that we should give up attachment to the worship of Lakshmi Narayan. But rather we should simply be absorbed in worshipping the divine couple in Braj Bhav. And in the fifth verse, so the different enemies of the mind, coming from the mind, were explained, lust, anger, and so on. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Mada, Matsarya. So they have to be given up. And in order to do this, we have to cry out to the devotees, take the shelter of the devotees, the spiritual master, the previous acharyas, and they may protect us. So even though the path of devotional service seems to be quite easy, but the difficulty is always there, so we have to be careful. So the 6th verse. Are cheta payodakapata kutinati bhaharakara sharam mutresnatvadahasi katam atmanamapimam sadatvam gandharvagiridharipada prema vilasat sodambodau snatva samapi nitaramam chasukaya. Addressing the mind. Are. So, are cheta, oh my mind. So although you adopt the path of sadhana, you imagine yourself purified by bathing in the trickling urine of the great donkey of full-blown deceit and hypocrisy. By doing so, you are simultaneously burning yourself and scorching me, a tiny jiva. Stop this. Delight yourself and me by eternally bathing in the nectarian ocean of pure love for the lotus feet of Sisi, Radha Krishna. So it has been explained here also that by the acharyas, that in spite of one may have subdued to some extent lust, anger, greed and so on, but deceit may still be there. So therefore this verse has been explained in order to be able to overcome this deceit, hypocrisy. So again and again the acharyas have explained that we should do bhajan with nishkapat bhav. So we should give up this deceit and this kutinati, hypocrisy. So kapat means deceit and kutinati means hypocrisy. So these are compared to charan mutre, to the urine of a donkey. So in this material world, actually everywhere, and the donkey is well, many times the donkey is used in the service to carry some load. For example, the dhobi, the washerman, he has a donkey. Well, not now. Now they have a car also, the washerman, you can see. But previously they used to have a donkey, and they would load a lot of cloth on the donkey. And the donkey is carrying the loads because he knows he will get something to eat. And so the donkey is not so beautiful. Of course, the other animals which are also not so beautiful, but for example, we can see that also not only the donkey doesn't look so beautiful, but also when he's making some noise that is not so nice to hear. So therefore mostly the donkey is accepted as the donkey is and used in the service, whatever it may be. But for example, gentlemen, they will keep horses, or they will have cows, but they will not keep donkeys. Only those of the poor section, they will have donkeys and use them. And of course, the urine of any animal, or even of the human being, except the cow, so anyone's urine is actually contaminating. So therefore, for example, the devotees who are worshipping the Lord, when they have to go to the bathroom, the pujaris have to take out the cloth, put the gamcha, and then go to the bathroom and pass urine. And then they wash the feet, the hand, and then they may put on the cloth. Or even those who are doing first class, and in the highest standard, they will take bath before going back on the altar, before worshipping the deities. Although the brahmanas are fully engaged in devotional service, are supposed to be absorbed in the absolute truth, so when they pass urine and stool, then they are considered contaminated. So the animals also, except the cow. So the cow urine is considered pure and has so much actually beneficial properties are there, and that cow urine is used as medicine for those who have liver problem, other problems also. It is very helpful. And even the cow dung also. But so the cow is worshipable, but the donkey is not at all worshipable. But as Vaishnavas, we respect any jiva in any form. So we also respect the donkeys, but we're not keeping any donkeys, and we're not worshipping the donkeys, and we accept their existence, and that is all. But here, deceit and hypocrisy, and the point is that has to be given up. So we do sadhan bhajan, we adopt the path of devotional service in order to become purified, in order to purify the consciousness, the senses, so that our transcendental nature may be revealed, so that we may have darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're in the process of purification. Here he's explaining, Raghunath Das Goswami, some persons are there and they are thinking they're doing their sadhana nicely. But then, so they are bathing in that filthy, burning urine of a donkey by being deceitful, by being hypocritical. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so he has written a commentary known as Sri Bhajan Darpan Digda, Sri Bhajan Darpan. Darpan means the mirror showing how to do this bhajan. And he has explained about this hypocrisy and deceit, and he has divided the sadhakas actually in three categories. Parinishtit, Swanishta, and Nirapeksha Vaishnav devotee. Also just 2 months ago. So we observed the Purushottam Mas Vrat, and in this regard Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also explained some things about Purushottam Vrat, who is doing the Vrat, and there also the 3 categories are mentioned of the Parinishtit and the Swanishta and Nirapeksha Vaishnav. So Parinishtit Sadak Vaishnav, these are those who are trying to please Bhagavan, and they are not so much interested in the rules and regulations of the scriptures of Varna Ashram, but they're simply trying to do Hari Bhajan. And usually they are householders, so that he has explained. And then Swanishta Bhaktas, they perform the rules and regulations, and they actually are very much also attached to the results of their activities. And then he's explaining Nirapeksha Sadakas, these are the renunciants, that's the sannyasis or the brahmacharis or vanaprasthis. So he's explaining that the 3 of them, they're benefited by doing bhajan only when they're thoroughly honest. Otherwise they will not be able to make advancement. And so he has explained about these 3 categories. First of all, Parinishtit Sadak. First of all, they may indulge in sense enjoyment on the pretext of doing sadhana. They engage in devotional service. They may worship the deities. But they're interested in sense gratification, having a nice place, having nice prasadam. So in this way they will not be able to come to the highest stage of pure devotional service. As explained by Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilashita Sunyam Jnana Karmanavritam Anukulyana Krishna Anuchilanam Bhaktiruttamam. Secondly, he's explaining that these devotees sometimes what they do, they're serving or trying to please wealthy and influential materialistic people, so they may also get some benefit, so they can then engage in their sense gratification rather than serving the pure devotees. Thirdly, is explaining so that these devotees, they are sometimes accumulating wealth more than actually what is required, which is the tendency of the conditioned soul to want to have more and more, never satisfied with what they have. And we can see, for example, it is mentioned, we should give up this false conception of the material existence. Aham mameti, I and mine. I am important and this is mine. So that has to be given up. But many times you can see even the devotees, they have this conception of I, and then I'm the best devotee, or my devotional service is the best, and this is my family, and then taking care of of their own selves and their family, rather than trying to help others also, as a true Vaishnava would do. Sarva bhute hite rataha. A true Vaishnava is always, of course we have to take care of ourselves, but a true Vaishnava is will also always be trying to serve others, to help others. Sarva bhute hite rataha. Sarva bhutato hite, for the benefit of all the sarva bhuta, all the living entities. So he's engaged in that. Rataha. Rati. So he's attached to helping others, benefiting others, not thinking only about himself. And the next he's explaining, so this devotees, sometimes they have great enthusiasm for futile, temporary enterprises. Because they are not focused regarding the principles of pure devotional service as given by Rupa Goswami. So then they engage enthusiastically in activities which are temporary and which are not for their ultimate benefit or for the benefit of others. Next, indulging in illogical arguments on the pretext of cultivating knowledge. Sometimes we can see, or many times devotees are also arguing about different things which are ultimately not giving the highest benefit, although it is on the pretext of cultivating knowledge, although it may be on the pretext of trying to be properly situated. So again, because they are not properly situated, so therefore they do not know exactly what is correct and what is not correct, what is to be done, what is not to be done. And then sometimes these householders, they may then adopt the dress of a renunciant just to get material prestige. So they think, well, now I've been householder for some time now, let me just become also a sannyasi, then everyone will respect me. I will get Mahaprasadam or this or that benefit. So that has been explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Regarding the first category of sadhakas. Regarding the second, Swanishta sadhaka, he's explaining 2 points. First, making an external show of strictly adhering to rules and regulations, externally. But internally, they are still attached to material objects. So, and then secondly, preferring the association of philanthropists, mundane scholars, yogis, and materialistic people, instead of taking shelter of pure devotees. Then we can see also these 2 points there mentioned, and that sometimes devotees also, even though they have performed devotional service for a long time or for quite some time, but then suddenly they feel that we should also try to interact with other persons, like scholars, Sanskrit scholars, or some yogis, philanthropists, and that may also be for our advantage. Sometimes we may share views with other people, or for the purpose of preaching, we may meet this kind of persons also. But not in preference to associating with the pure devotees. So always we have to try to seek the association of the devotees who are more advanced, as explained in the scriptures. Even it is explained, even one is highly advanced, even on the platform of Bhav, still he has to try to associate with the Premi Bhaktas, those who are on the highest stage. So again, the acharyas have explained that we have to associate with the sadhus, those who are more advanced. But even so, the third category of devotees, Nirapeksha Sadhaka, the renunciant. But even sometimes they are deceitful. So he's giving also here a few points. First, maintaining pride by thinking oneself to be an elevated Vaishnava. So many times that is seen, that one is having the sannyas vesh, dress of a sannyasi, or in brahmachari, and thinking oneself highly advanced, and then looking down upon others. Someone has to be always careful. So therefore, it has been explained right in the first verse, Sada Damba Hitva, giving up all pride. Sada, always. We have to be careful of pride. A true Vaishnava is thinking himself to be most insignificant. That is one of the symptoms of a pure devotee, Uttam Vaishnava. He's seeing that everyone is engaged in devotional service. But he himself, he feels, I'm not able to serve Krishna nicely, I'm not able to glorify Krishna nicely. Because Krishna is unlimited, and he's seeing himself to be insignificant. So how I can properly worship the unlimited Supreme Lord? Difficult task. Although he may be constantly engaged in thinking about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, but still he's feeling I'm not able to do anything. Like even Rupa Goswami or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they were expressing, let me have hundreds or thousands of tongues so I may properly glorify Krishna. May I have hundreds or thousands of ears so I can nicely hear the holy names. And they will see even the non-devotees being engaged in devotional service, because they see Krishna in everyone's heart. Even maybe a just ordinary person selling fruits, but they will see, oh, that person is selling fruits, and the Vaishnavas are coming there, and they're buying the fruits and offering to Krishna. Oh, he's doing such an important seva of selling these fruits for a good price. So they will see everyone engaged in devotional service, connected to Krishna, the true devotees. But those who are not properly situated, they will think themselves to be superior than others. And they will want to be respected, to be adored. So one has to be careful. Secondly, and that is similar, adopting the dress of a renunciant due to false ego. Thirdly, accumulating wealth and materials beyond the basic necessities of life. Well, that is also seen, especially nowadays. We can see in our society also that the renunciants, the brahmacharis, the sannyasis, many times they have 1, 2 phones. They have. Of course, we may use these things, and the renunciants may also use these things in the service of the Lord. But at the same time, they should remember that they are in the renounced order of life. Renounced order of life means they should live very simple living, high thinking, not to have too many possessions. So, but sometimes you see sannyasis or even brahmacharis having 2 phones or 3 phones maybe, and then 1 computer, and then wanting to get the best computer after 2 years again, the newest model of phone. So sometimes that is also seen. But so that is a kind of deceit. If one is in the dress of a sannyasi or brahmachari and has too much wealth, sometimes also they have big balance, bank balance. How much money you have in the bank? No bank balance. Okay, good. 1 phone? Okay, good, brahmachari. 1 computer? Okay. Okay, yeah, still there are many nice brahmacharis and sannyasis. But some are, only having the dress. And then even they have the, phone, and then watching different things which should not be watched. Some movies or things like this. And then fourthly, so associating with women on the pretext of sadhana. So the brahmacharis and sannyasis, they should stay away from women. Of course, even the grihasthas actually should also not associate too much with women, except the wife or the family members. That is for all. But sometimes then we can see the brahmacharis also there preaching, and then they're thinking, well, okay, we have to also be merciful to the women, which is true, one has to be merciful to the women also, but one has to be careful. That is mentioned. So, woman is like fire, and man is like butter. So it can be dangerous. Someone has to be careful. But sometimes you see that sannyasis and brahmacharis are spending a lot of time preaching to women. So, but that is dangerous. And that, and then sometimes it happens that the brahmacharis, well, just I was doing a marriage ceremony last day of Kartik. With the Utsav also of Radhika Keshav Roy. Yeah, you were all there, right? Yes. So then I was doing the marriage ceremony. And then, during the ceremony, usually there's Laja Homa is there. That is the time when the boy and the girl, they go around the fire 7 times. So they call 7 Saat Fere, 7 times going around. That's the main thing. Sometimes they ask the people, they ask the priest, so Saat Feres will be there, right? I said, yeah, of course we'll be there, don't worry. And so this time, the girl or the woman will offer some oblations into the fire. So the husband is giving ghee in the dona or in a bowl, you remember? And then the brother has to come. And he has to put this keel, which is like almost like puffed rice. And then the husband will put some mogi, and then the wife will offer that. So then, I told her to call her brother. So the girl called the brother, brahmachari, was wearing saffron. And then, so that was done, and then, so I spoke to him also after. So, what is your name? And okay, brahmachari. Okay, good. And then 4 or 5 days later, I heard that this brahmachari is going to get married. And I was surprised. What? He was just in saffron. Yeah, and then you did the marriage ceremony, right? You did it, right?
I was supposed to do, but the scene happened. I will tell you later.
Okay. But then I think it was not so much approved by the parents, because then they were doing, and they were telling me also, because I had heard about that, and then that there's no money, so they don't have much money. The boy doesn't have the money because the parents were most probably not so much agreeing. And then there was a reception also in the Yagashala a few days after. Of course, I wasn't involved. Anyway, so the point is that the brahmachari has to be careful. Otherwise, he'll be married also. Even we have seen in our society and other societies that sannyasis are there, danda, taking a vow, nothing to do with women till I give up the body. But then after sometimes, they give up the sannyas ashram, and that is considered abominable. It is mentioned in Bhagavatam. That is just like Vatamsi. That is, if one is taking a nice meal, but then he ate a little bit too much, too many sweets or whatever, and then he's vomiting. Then you don't feel so nice, and the vomit is really an abominable thing. But if somebody who has vomited is eating the vomit, that is just not nice. Already when you vomit, it's not nice, and you want to clean up and not, you have to wash your mouth and you don't feel good. But then to eat that is really abominable. And no sane man will do that. So if one has entered the renounced order of life and made a vow not to have anything to do with women, no intimate connection with women, but if afterwards is giving up the dress and getting married again, it is just like eating one's vomit. But material energy is so strong that we have seen in our society, even in other societies, that it happens. It happens too often, actually, which is not nice what to do, but so therefore one has to be very careful. So therefore he's mentioning these things. Next, keeping close contact with materialistic people with the intention of collecting funds and donations instead of going to the temple. Well, also that we have heard that sometimes it happens that sannyasis have big bank balance instead of using for the preaching or for the temple. Next, worrying about collecting funds on the pretext of performing bhajan. Same thing. So the sannyasi should simply depend on Krishna. He should chant the holy names and study the scriptures and teach and preach. And he should not think about money or have to collect money to build a temple. No. If money is coming, fine, and then if you can build a temple, it's good. If not, no problem. So the sannyasi, he should be fearless. That is also one of the main symptoms of a sannyasi, is fearless. He's completely dependent on Krishna. He knows that Krishna will always protect me. I don't have to fear for his life, for his eating or sleeping, for anything. And if there should be a temple, then a temple will be there. I don't have to worry for collection. Krishna will arrange. So he's not concerned about or worrying about collecting funds. Enfeebling one's attachment for Krishna by attributing importance and respect merely to the external dress and symptoms of the renounced order, and being overly attached to the rules and regulations of renunciation. So it is not just an external thing, sannyas. So the external aspect is there. One has to have the dress and the danda and follow the rules and regulations of a sannyasi. But there is more than that. The main thing is actually the internal cultivation. And for the sannyasis in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is taking shelter of the mood of the gopis, gopi bhav, the internal cultivation. So, in the divine service of the divine couple. So in order to become perfect, and then only if one is perfect, actually we can really help others. And the sannyasis, they should be actually on the higher stage of devotional service. Preferably they should be on the stage of bhav, bhavavasta, on the transcendental plane, internally absorbed. But then for the benefit of others, they will give this knowledge to others also. So they will help others in doing bhajan. So therefore also he has mentioned that and the devotee has to be careful and give up all unnecessary mundane arguments known as kutarka. And then satarka, and then giving up false philosophical conclusions, kusidanta, and then giving up all anarthas. So one has to be careful. One has to know the proper siddhanta. The Vaishnava should be siddhantavit, shastravit. He should know the scriptures, the conclusions of the scriptures. And especially he should also know regarding the transcendental melos in regards to Braj Bhakti, Rasatatvavit. And he should not simply make an external show of being a great devotee, but he should be extremely humble and tolerant and respectful, genuine, sincere and serious. So therefore again the acharyas have explained that it has to be given up, this deceit and hypocrisy. So the devotees, so kapat bhav and kutinati, that has to be given up. A devotee is known to be very simple, sarlata. That is, as Prabhupada used to say, simple living, high thinking. Simple in the thinking and in the dealing, straightforward and simple, humble, respectful. And also even in regards to living, in regards to one's dress code and eating habits, everything should be simple as much as possible. But then, so he's explaining in the second part, Gandharva Giridhari Pada Prema Vilasat Sudam Bodhau Snatva. So, yeah, he should not bathe himself in this deceit, but he should bathe himself in the nectarian ocean, ambudho, sudha, so that means the nectar, and prem, vilasat. So he should bathe, snatva, bathe himself in the nectarian ocean of love for the lotus feet of Sri Gandharvika Giridhari. So Gandharva refers to Srimati Radharani. Gandharva or Gandharvika. And so Giridhari, Krishna who is lifting Govardhan hill. So for that, the acharyas have given so many beautiful prayers in this regards. Rupa Goswami, he has given so many wonderful stavas. So there's a Stava Bala, is a book, Stava Mala by Rupa Goswami, a garland of these different prayers, Stava Mala. And there he has given one known as Sri Prarthana Padati. Padati means the process of offering prayers. So one of these verses is there, that, O Vrindavaneshwari Sri Radhika, the complexion of your limbs is like molten gold. Molten gold. Your eyes are as charming as the restless, elongated eyes of a doe. Your face diffuses the brilliance of millions of moons. You are gracefully dressed in a blue sari, the color of a fresh cloud. And of course, even this description is given, but Srimati Radharani's beauty is. So the examples are given here. Her limbs are just like molten gold. But then you can say all these statements which are there, that is understatement. And the beauty of Srimati Radharani cannot really be properly described with words. It is unparalleled. But just to give some idea, some words are given here, of some examples are given, some comparisons are given. So, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. So her colors is like molten gold, or Savana. What is it? Savana. What is it? The fourth verse, Savana. Of the Radhakipakataksha Stotram, you know? What is it now? No. This is the eighth one, the fourth one. What is it now? Old age. Fourth one, what is it again? Champaka. No. What is it? What is it, the fourth verse again? No. Is that the comparison is given to champak flower, to Taritsuvana Champaka. Champaka. No. Champika. Okay, look it up. Taritsuvana Champaka. Mukha Prabhava Koti Sharadendu Mandale Vichitra Chitra Sanchara Chakora Chavalochane Kadakarisha Sihamam Kipagadaksha Bhajanam. Age of Kali. Taritsuvana Champaka. So just like lightning. So the beauty is there. So lightning is there, very amazing. In the rainy season. Suvana champaka, like a golden champa. Different champak flowers are there. So most beautiful. So the color of aurora, like molten gold, yeah. Defeating Sharadendu, defeating thousands of moons. Sharadendu. And so she's dressed in blue sari, the color of a fresh cloud. So because she's so much eager to be with Krishna, so therefore, and she wants to embrace Krishna, so therefore she's wearing a blue sari. And Krishna has a yellow dhoti because she wants to embrace Srimati Radharani. Kanaka jalada gatro nila sonabjanetro migamandavaravara migamandavaravalo taral taranavesho malati kundamala taral taranavesho nila pitambaresha smara nivikta nikunja radhika Krishna Chandra. So in the nikunjas we remember Radha and Krishna. And so Kanaka jalada gatro, so her complexion is like molten gold. And Krishna, Jalada Gatro, just like Jalada, just Jalada, that which is giving rain, that is the cloud. Different names for the cloud. Nina Sonabjanetro. So, and Krishna's, and the inner part of Krishna's eyes is golden red, and Radharani is in bluish, because Krishna is always seeing Srimati Radharani. And so therefore the inner part is golden, and Radharani is bluish because she is always seeing Krishna. And so they're beautiful garlands and so dressed beautifully in this blue sari and yellow dhoti and chadar. You had a crowning garland of jasmine flowers on the decorated braided hair of the young gopis of Braj. Your limbs are splendidly adorned with divine jewels and other ornaments. So here he's taking shelter, so Rupa Goswami, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving these verses, taking shelter of Srimati Radharani, because only by her mercy we can gain access in the service of Shyam Sundar. In this regards also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given a beautiful song, and Narottam Das Thakur very similar, and explaining that we have to take shelter of Srimati Radharani, otherwise it is not possible to be able to serve Krishna. Even sometimes some are not showing so much regard to Radharani and simply wanting to worship Krishna. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam, they are even explaining that we don't want to see that person who is having this kind of mood. And then he has also given one beautiful prayer, Sri Radha Madhavayor Nama Yugashtakam. Radha Madhavayor Etat Vakshe Nama Yugashtakam. Radha Damadara Purvam Radhika Madhava Tata. Now we will sing this prayer that consists of 8 verses glorifying the names of the divine couple, Sri Radha Madhav. First I will sing the praise of Sri Radha Damodar and then of Sri Radhika Madhav. Brijabhanu Kumari Chatata Gopendra Nandana Govindasya Priyasaki Gandharva Bandhavastata Shrimati Radhika is Vrishabhanu Kumari, the young daughter of King Vrishabhanu. And Sri Krishna is Gopindra Nandana, the son of the king of the cowherds. She is the dearmost friend of Govinda, and he is the dearest friend of Gandharva, Shrimati Radhika. Nikunja Nagara Gosta Kishora Jana Sekarau Vrindavanadipau Krishna Vallabha Radhika Priyau. She is Nikunja Nagari, the heroine of the groves of Braj, and he is Nikunja Nagar, the hero of Braj. She is Mukutamani, the crown jewel of all the graceful maidens of Braj. And he is Shirubhushan, the head ornament of all handsome youth. She is Adistatri, the presiding goddess of Vrindavan, and he is Adishwar, the presiding chief. She is Krishna Vallabha, the lover of Krishna, and he is Radha Vallabh, the lover of Radha. So that is the recommendation of Raghunath Das Goswami, and then all the acharyas following, that we should take shelter of the divine couple and hear about their wonderful pastimes, their wonderful qualities, and so bathe ourselves in that. Also specifically is mentioning that one should try to remember the Ashtakalya Leela of the divine couple. Of course, that is for those who are more advanced. But we have to try to spend every day some time in reading about and hearing about Mahaprabhu and his wonderful qualities and pastimes, and about Radha Krishna and their wonderful qualities and pastimes. When we are doing that, and when our consciousness is absorbed in that, then there is no room for Gramya Katha, for unnecessary talk and unnecessary thoughts, and then we can advance nicely. But due to conditioned life, it is not so easy, and the mind is then engaged in things which are not so necessary. And the tongue is then following suit also. The mind is thinking of things which are not necessary, and then the tongue is saying things which are not necessary. And then the body may also be engaged in things which are not necessary. So these instructions to the mind are important, given by Raghunath Das Goswami, who is the Acharya for ultimately Prayojan Gyan. So in order to reach the highest level, so we have to follow these instructions. All the devotees who are advanced, they should know what to do and what not to do. But because the mind is very strong and not easy to control, so therefore he has given these instructions, not just for the neophyte devotees. These instructions are for those who are already practicing also for quite some time. And you can see that many times the new devotees who have just started, so they are innocent, and they will accept what to do and what not to do. And they are very humble and respectful. Prabhu, Prabhu, what can I do for you? And then after some time, then they know how things are going on, and then humility should become actually ripe. First it is kacha, in the beginning actually it is not ripe, humility, because realization is not there. One knows, I know nothing, I just started, I have to learn. But there's no realization of one's existence as spirit soul, but it is just some knowledge that yes, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, and one knows I don't know much, I have to learn. So then some humility is there, natural. But that is kacha, it is not ripe. But then one has to practice, and one has to try to remain humble, older than so many times. So therefore these verses are there. When we gain some knowledge, and then one becomes confident, knows how to do things, and then one can become proud. That is happening very often, quite a lot. And then the false ego is there. I'm a big book distributor. I'm the president of the temple. Or I'm head pujari. Or I'm a kirtaniya for 24-hour kirtan. And we are the best. Because of us, the temple is running. So it's very subtle, but it is there. And we have to be careful. I remember, so. Book distributors, book distribution is most important. So we are better than the pujaris who are just waving the incense. But then the pujari is thinking, I'm pujari, I'm very close to Krishna, and the others are just doing something. So it's not important what you do, but how you do. So the book distributor has to be humble. The pujari has to be humble. The president has to be humble. The kirtaniya has to be humble and respect others. So that is important. So therefore Mahaprabhu said, Trinadapi sunichena tororapi saishnana amanina amaranina kirtaniya sadahari. So in the intermediate state, Madhyama Avastha, the devotee is careful so that he's not influenced by the false ego, by the rascal mind, by deceit and hypocrisy. So one has to be careful. And even those who are even more advanced and trying to, even they may come to the highest stage, but then they have to also still be careful. Because the external energy is very, very strong and very subtle. Maya Devi she's a dasi, a servant of Krishna. So one has to be careful. So therefore the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they take these instructions of Manah Siksha to heart, and they are careful in their execution of devotional service. So these verses, they are to be recited once in a while. So these are helpful. And if you can learn, and some who are very intelligent, who have good memory, they can remember all of them. But if one doesn't have so much ability to remember, or if one is busy, if one is a householder, at least one may learn the first verse. And then one may vaguely remember the others also, what is there inside, what is explained in these different verses. So because it is important. Any questions? Yes.
So, just like Krishna has an Ashtakali Leela, and we know that where is Krishna at what time. So, one question is that Rupa Manjari, she has a family in Golok, right?
Yeah. Rupa Manjari has a family.
And second question is...
she has a father and mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second question is, since we are Rupanaga Vaishnavas, and our ultimate goal is to serve Radharani and be under the guidance of Rupa Manjari and Guru Manjari. So shouldn't we know the Ashtakalya Leela of Lalita and Vishakha and Radharani, and like what they are doing at what time, like when like now, where is
right? Yeah.
So
Yeah, of course, we have to know.
and is it mentioned somewhere?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is mentioned and we have to know eventually. But you go slowly. First you read the whole Bhagavatam. Where are you?
It's second canto.
Second canto. Okay, you finish the 12 cantos. Then you read the CC. And when you have read these books, then you can think of reading other books. But that is all mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So they have given these books, Krishna Bhavanamrita, Govinda Lilamrita. The Ashtakalya Lila are described of Radha and Krishna. And then it means the gopis are there too. Because they are serving there. And it's mentioned about Lalita Vishaka, what they are doing. Noontime especially when they are Radhakund, or night time. So that is mentioned. And Prabhupada is explained in one verse, and in one purport in the CC, and this in one purport about Krishna Bhavanamrita. And the devotees, and the advanced devotees, they relish this book by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna Bhavanamrita. So when one is nicely situated, then one can read these books. One must read these books. Otherwise you cannot be absorbed, not possible. But you have to go slowly. Okay? So, but eventually you have to read and then become absorbed in that. But not now. First you try to do sadhana bhakti nicely and read all these other books first. And then after 10, 15 years or 20 years, when you're finished with the Bhagavatam and CC, and yeah, when you're a little older, then you can read these books also. Yeah. And so Prabhupada has explained that we have to read the books of the previous acharyas. But yeah, so we have to wait, not now. Okay. Anything else? You read the Bhagavatam whole? Okay. CC also?
Yeah, CC also.
Okay.
Bhagavad.
Reading, okay. You read the whole Bhagavatam? CC also?
Not completely.
Okay. Okay, to you and
I
you?
read few times.
It's fourth. I
Okay.
started fourth.
Okay.
Prabhu, you mentioned some verse about Krishna's eyes being red. Where was this from?
Yeah.
Red and gold.
Kanaka jalada gatro, nila sonabja netro, mrigamanda varabalo, malatikunda malo, tarara vesho, nila pitambaresho, nikunja, nibritta nikunja radhika Krishna chandro. So that is by Rupa Goswami also. 8 verses are there glorifying the divine couple, so one of these verses is there. So it's also there in Stavamala. Yeah, beautiful verse. Yeah. So much nectar they have given, the acharyas. Ha devi kagavadagarya chavachani yachani pattavu vidandavadu tadatyasya prasadam avadasya rasa kirta gandharvi ketava gane gananam videhi. So prayer to Srimati Radharani. So Ashtakam is there also. And then so in this verse, praying to Srimati Radharani, please count me as one of your associates in your group. Ha devi kagavadagarya chavacha yacheni pattavu vidandu tadatyam. So I'm praying to you with humble words. And because in this material world there's so many difficulties, so we have to cry out to first Guru and then Gauranga and then Srimati Radharani. And so praying so that we can achieve the position of being counted amongst her maidservants. So Radha Dasyam, that is the aspiration of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, to be counted as a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. Also by Rupa Goswami, this verse on Ashtakam, praying to Srimati Radharani. So all these verses are actually very helpful. So Manah Siksha is helpful, but then he has also given many verses glorifying the divine couple, Raghunath Das Goswami, and so we should take pleasure in that rather than discussing what's happening in the temple. Of course, that we have to know also, but still, what's happening in the world we have to know also to some extent, but what's happening in the Golok, that we have to know more, and we have to be more absorbed in that. Therefore, they have given these beautiful prayers. They have not given this prayer for themselves or for their friends or associates of this time, because they're all advanced. They've given actually for us. So we may chant these verses and prayers, so we may become absorbed and advance, slowly but surely, in spiritual life. Anything else? Okay, Jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Natana Pano